I never thought my marriage would fall apart so suddenly, or hurt so deeply. For years, I believed we had something strong, something that could survive whatever challenges life threw at us. My wife, the woman I trusted with my heart, my future, and my most private thoughts, shattered that belief one quiet evening with a confession I wasn't ready to hear. She admitted she had been unfaithful. At first, I couldn't process it. I studied her face, searching for guilt, for some flicker of regret that this was just a terrible mistake she wished she could undo. But what hurt more than the affair itself was what she said afterward. With chilling calmness, she looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You need to be more open-minded. Let me do what I want." Those words replayed in my head like a cruel echo I couldn't escape. How could she expect me to accept her betrayal, as if it were normal? The woman I loved had turned into someone unrecognizable, demanding that I tolerate her cheating as though it meant nothing. I felt crushed, broken into pieces I didn't think could ever be put back together. But once the initial shock started to fade, something inside me shifted. Maybe it was anger. Maybe it was survival. If she wanted freedom, if she assumed I would simply accept being disrespected, then it was time I stopped being the trusting man she always took for granted. It was time to show her I wasn't someone who could be used or dismissed so easily. And in the back of my mind, one person kept resurfacing. Clara, my wife's sister. We had never been particularly close, mostly because my wife and Clara barely spoke. Their relationship was complicated, weighed down by years of resentment and unspoken grudges. They disliked each other so much that they hardly bothered to hide it. I often felt caught in between. But Clara had always been single, and over the years there had been subtle glances, moments that hinted she hadn't completely closed herself off to me. Unlike my wife, Clara was straightforward, genuine, and unafraid to speak her mind. Then came the family trip. The three of us were forced to spend several days together, and from the start, the tension between the sisters was suffocating. Every word exchanged carried sharp edges. Every glance was cold. Yet with Clara, I felt an unexpected sense of ease. While my wife stayed distant and silent, Clara was warm, open, and easy to talk to. One evening, after a long day exploring a new city, my wife went to bed early, exhausted and emotionally detached. Clara and I stayed behind in the dim living room, sharing a bottle of wine. The room was quiet except for soft jazz playing in the background and the occasional clink of glasses. At first, our talk was light, childhood stories, old family secrets, Clara's struggles with being single, my pain over my collapsing marriage. But slowly, the mood began to shift. Our laughter softened. The pauses between words grew heavier. When our eyes met, something sparked, electric, dangerous, impossible to ignore. I knew I was stepping onto dangerous ground. She was my wife's sister. But after everything I had endured, after feeling discarded and unwanted, this moment felt like a lifeline. A chance to feel alive again. When I leaned in to kiss her, she didn't resist. That night, the spark became a flame. It was messy, complicated, tangled with guilt and excitement. But it was also real. Clara made me feel seen, respected, and wanted. Things I hadn't felt in months. Word got out sooner than I expected. My wife's reaction was explosive. Fury mixed with jealousy, disbelief, and maybe even regret. She couldn't believe I had turned to the one person she had treated coldly for years. Suddenly, Clara held the upper hand in their long rivalry, and my wife was left questioning everything. Dating Clara wasn't easy. At first, we kept it secret, sneaking around to avoid the inevitable family chaos. But every stolen moment, every whispered word made me feel free, like I was finally taking back control of my own life. By the end of the trip, home life was unbearable. The sisters barely spoke. The weight of betrayal and broken bonds hung heavy in the air. But for me, it was the start of something new. Messy, complicated, imperfect, but real. I don't claim to know if what I did was right or wrong. What I do know is this. After my wife's betrayal, after her cold demand that I simply accept it, turning to her sister became my way of standing up for myself. It was painful, dramatic, and came with consequences. But it was also healing. In the end, I learned something. When someone destroys your trust, sometimes the only way to reclaim your power is to do the unexpected, to rewrite the rules. And that's exactly what I did.